Fellas, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I use my autism to build a jacked physique and how I leverage my physique to build a business that pays me 10K plus every single month. Now listen guys, I've never officially been diagnosed with autism, but what I'm referring to specifically is the traits of obsession and hyperfocus, which I believe are the two traits that made me successful not only in the gym and in my physical gains, but also financially and in my business life. The same way you can't get jacked by accident is the same way you can't build wealth by accident, and I believe those two things require an autistic level of focus, which a lot of guys don't appreciate. And listen, I'm not some course seller, I'm not some guru, I'm not even a millionaire, but what I am is a guy who 16 months ago wanted to escape my 9-to-5 in-person personal training grind. See, I was waking up at 4 a.m. every single day, I was training clients pretty much all morning and all throughout the day, just to go to bed and lay there and know that I wanted more out of my life. Not to say I was in a bad position, but I always knew that I had the ability to earn a high income, travel the world, provide for my wife abundantly, and still maintain my physical health, and more importantly, have leverage over my time. I just didn't know how to tap into that potential, which I imagine a lot of you guys can relate to. But before we get into all that, I want to talk about my life 6 years ago when I was 15, because if you would have told me this is what I was doing for a living, and I was married, and I was jacked, and I was doing all these things, I just would have never believed you. I grew up as the insecure, stoner, gifted, burnout type kid. I always knew that I had a high potential, but I was always so scared to take action and do things in my life because I was worried about what others would think, and I was worried about how I would look and be perceived. And that was such a detriment in my life because the biggest thing it caused was inaction. I never did anything with my life until I started going to the gym. And that's what I want to talk about. But before we get into all that, I want to talk about my life 6 years ago, because if you would have told me this is what I was doing to make money, I would have never believed you. When I was younger, I grew up playing sports, but as I got into high school, I got into video games really heavily, and then I started smoking a lot of weed. And that just dug me super deep into a rut. One day I was out smoking with all my friends, I finally had enough, and I decided that I needed to make a change in my life. Looking back, it was genuinely the voice of God. He really dug me out of the trenches, but that very next day I went to the gym. And this is honestly when my entire life turned around, because after my first workout, I was completely hooked. I've literally never taken more than a week off of working out since. I went to the gym every single day, and by week 3, I could literally see my bicep veins popping. And this was the first time in my life that I saw I was able to control my environment. See, that same obsession that I had for video games and spending hours rotting on my Xbox, I now pivoted into the gym. I tracked every single macro, I never missed a workout, and I consumed tons of fitness content. And 8 months later, I got jacked. People in high school were literally asking me if I took steroids. Now, I only weighed 150 pounds and I was super lean, but the point still stands. Getting jacked in that amount of time taught me that obsession and consistency over a period of time would always get results. And now that I was jacked, I had newfound confidence, I felt way better, I looked better, obviously, but that's not what instilled confidence in me. The confidence came from the fact that I put work in and I was able to see a tangible result. And from that moment on, I was all in on fitness. I literally remember giving a speech in my high school class about how I was going to become a trainer after I graduated high school. Everyone in the class just kind of looked at me like I was crazy, but I had so much conviction, they all believed me. And then I did it. After high school, I was still obsessed with fitness. I was spending 3 hours a day, every single day in the gym. I asked my friend Tiger for a job at one of the local gyms, and they hired me on the spot. From the age of 18 to 21, I became a top 10 trainer in the company. I was consistently doing over 100K revenue every single year, but deep down, even though I was making more money than my peers, even though I had seemingly a good life on paper, I was engaged, I had just bought my first investment property, a duplex, I still wasn't happy with my situation. I'm not saying that to be ungrateful. That was actually some of the best time of my life. I loved being in the trenches and developing all the skills. I think it was more than necessary that I had to learn the sales. I had to be with people all day, and that really kind of broke me out of my shell and allowed me to level up to the next level. But again, I just knew deep down there was more to my potential. And at this point, I was pretty much working all day, and if I wasn't working, I was working out, and if I wasn't working out, I was sleeping. And so again, it was reiterated to me that obsession is how you win in life. It got pretty bad at some points. I mean, I really didn't have any friends. I was in college at the time. I was part of a fraternity, but I stopped showing up to meetings. I stopped hanging out. A lot of the guys got upset with me, but I knew what I wanted in life. And it really didn't matter what anyone else wanted for me because I was just so mission focused and so obsessed with becoming, the best trainer I could be, with still pursuing my gym gains, with all the goals that I had in mind. It got rough with my family. My mom was super upset. She said I worked too much. And not that I worked too much, but more so that I wasn't giving that same level of intensity in other areas of my life. So it caused a rift with my family. I ended up dropping out of school and I met Jillian, who's my wife now. And it made me really step back and realize, I'm putting all this time in, I'm putting this work in, and it's paying off. I'm seeing a result and I'm making decent money for my age. And I honestly have a pretty good life. But again, deep down, I knew I wanted more. And more so, long term, I knew that I wanted more leverage over my time. I knew there had to be more to life than working 12 hours every single day as an in-person trainer. Again, not saying it's bad, and respect to you if that's what you choose, but I just knew it's not what I wanted in my life. From there, I fell deep into the internet money rabbit hole. I saw guys who were able to work from a laptop, travel, pretty much work from anywhere and still earn a high income and provide for those around them. And I found that to be super aspirational, and I decided that's the career path I wanted to go on. So I was living in my duplex at the time. I was still working as a trainer in person every single day, except for Sundays. And from that moment on, I decided that social media would grant me the highest form of leverage. So what did I do? I posted every single day on Instagram. I literally remember I would fall asleep on my couch making reels and making content to post. And I became obsessed. And I felt so bad if I missed a day of posting, but 4 months later, it all worked out because I had my first reel go viral. It got 6 million views, Squat University reposted it, and my account blew up to 10K followers. From there, it's been a little bit slower of a grind. I've been really focused on building my business, but saying that to say, in all of these instances, whether it was me first going to the gym, whether it was me becoming a trainer, or whether it was me posting on social media, I had resistance across all of these instances. There were people I was worried about what they'd think. There were people telling me in certain situations that being a trainer was dumb and not a career choice. There were people telling me that posting on social media was cringe. And to a certain degree, it kind of was because I didn't know what I was doing. But regardless of all of that, it didn't stop me from taking action. And that is the most important thing you can do. You have to understand exactly what you want in life, and you have to be able to take action regardless of what others are going to tell you or what they're going to think. And no, it's not always going to be easy, but it was dead simple. From the moment I started going to the gym, I knew if I always showed up, I knew if I ate my protein and hit my calories that I would get jacked. From being a trainer, I knew that if I showed up and I made calls and I booked appointments and I trained clients that I would make money and I would advance in the trainer rankings. I would advance to top 10 in the company. And I knew that if I posted on social media every single day, that at some point from the day I started posting to wherever I decided I was successful at, some point within that I would have succeeded because I took action. And that is the most important thing I can stress. If you're watching this and you're resonating with anything I'm saying, please understand exactly what you want and then take action on it immediately. I'm now at the point where I'm happily married. I was able to build a business that pretty much produces 10K a month, bare minimum, every single month. I have complete time freedom. I can go wherever I want. I can do whatever I want. And it's generally a really pretty good life. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just thankful for the position God has put me in and blessed me with to this day because I decided to take action. The other theme through my life, whether it's the gym, whether it's entrepreneurship, whatever it may be, was my ability to hyper-focus. See, once I know I want something, it's almost like I can't live without it. I think a lot of guys struggle with this. And I think deep down, it's because what you're working towards is not actually what you want in life. I don't do well with people telling me that I need to do something. I do better when there's a goal I know I'm working towards and I can't live without it. That was true when it came to getting jacked because I literally had no other option. That was true when it came to becoming the best trainer I could be because I couldn't live with the fact that I had an opportunity in front of my face and I didn't take advantage of it. When it came to posting on social media because I knew the lifestyle I wanted to live, that it was attainable, I couldn't live without it. And I think the ability to hyper-focus is so underrated in terms of your success. Think about the guy that goes to the gym and switches his program every single week. He's not going to make as much progress as the guy who consistently progressive overloads and tracks his protein every single day. The same thing can be true in your professional life. If you have a lifestyle you want to work towards, there's probably a million different things that could get you there, but it's your ability to focus on one and do it really well and do it for a long period of time that's going to determine your success. Saying all this to say, what you think others are going to judge you for, what you think others are going to think are weird, or what you find weird about yourself is probably what's going to make you successful in the long run. Stop apologizing to others for being obsessive, for being hyper-focused, and for continuing to work on the things you want to work towards and start leveraging it. You'd be surprised how far you can get with the right goal in mind and a little bit of autistic energy, because I know that's been true in my life. Anyway, boys, that's all I have for today. Follow me if you want to get jacked. Follow me if you want to build your dream life. Let me know what you think of this content style. I'm switching it up a bit. But other than that, peace.